Streaming is go. Okay, right, just give it a couple of seconds for a bit of that. So I'm recording here, locally recording, yes, that's good, and I'm going to press go now. So everybody ready? Go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk number 251. It's the annually titled NAMM Preamble. And this week, this is the last show before we head off to Winter NAMM, which is in Anaheim, California. Andy flew today. He's getting a week of fun and games before the show starts. So he's going to be nicely rested, I hope, and not too hungover by the time the show starts. And I go out next Tuesday. So we're all very excited here because we have a big team going and we've got all our kit and video and stuff, so I've just been going through lists and all that sort of thing. But anyway, I digress. We've also got there's plenty of people in the chat room. Nice to see you all there. That's sonicstate.com/live. That's 4 p.m. UK time, but not next week because I will be busy at a show. But certainly the week after, I'm pretty sure. So thanks very much for joining us. And that first chuckle you heard there was Mr. Dave Robinson from Pro Sound News Europe, who's
Hello.
Right there. Good to have you, Dave. This is a double Dave week, as you will find out next week. And I still mean to get a proper jingle for that, because I think it should have one, really. I know that somebody did send us one. So anyway, Dave Robinson, editor of Pro Sound News Europe, who I'm sure is also getting geared up for his epic walkathon and meetathon at the NAMM show coming up. When are you flying out, Dave?
Drinkathon.
Oh, yes. Well, that goes without saying, clearly. When are you flying out, Dave?
I'm going Tuesday.
Tuesday, all right. Well, we might be on the same flight then, possibly.
Oh, I can't wait. We could meet up at the back of the plane like we did 5 years ago. Yeah. And complain about the M Audio 2496 recorder.
Yeah. That was, well, I'm getting the 11:15 flight.
I can't remember. I don't think the listeners are that interested, are they, really?
Probably not. Anyway, well, thanks for joining us. ProSoundNewsEurope.com, editor of, you get a digital online edition, so do check it out. There it is. AES Turns Corner. Thank you very much, Dave. Right, well, we'll also go to another Dave who's over there. That's Dave Spears from GeForceSoftware.com. Maker of fine musical instruments. Not going to NAMM this year, but I'm sure we'll be interested in some shape or form as to what's going on. How are you, Dave?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, busy as ever. And yes, I do remember that. Got things to get finished, and actually it's weird because we don't sell into retail anymore, so with the exception of Sweetwater. So given that it's a trade show, it was like, I tell you what, we'll stay, which I believe is our second year of not going. It might even be our third. So yeah, weird, but stuff to do. Anyway,
well, Dave, thank you very much for joining us there. I'm going to also go and get Gaz Williams because he has just popped up there on the Skype-a-thon thing. So I'm just going to see if I can go grab him quick. So this will be, let me see there, Gaz. There we go. Go, Gaz. Add. Let's see if we can get Gaz in there as well. I'll switch to me, and then we'll come back to some of our other guests while Gaz gets online. I have no idea where he might be. Gaz, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Are you at home or are you in a car somewhere?
No, I'm here.
Hello?
Oh.
Hello. Yes, I can hear you, but you're not talking.
Oh, yeah, okay. One moment. Sorry.
All right, can I come back to you then? Richard?
No, I'm ready now.
All right, okay. All right, anyway, Gaz, thanks very much for joining us. I haven't got any video for you yet, but that doesn't matter. Gaz Williams, songsurgeon.co, also host of our new iPad show, Sonic Touch. How you doing there, Gaz? Good to have you aboard.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All excited for NAMM, I hope, as well?
Yeah. Loads of exciting stuff coming up, isn't there?
I think there could be. There's a couple of things I'm not allowed to say anything about that I'm really quite interested in, but I can't really say anything more than that because they'll probably arrest me at customs. Anyway, let's say hello also to Rich Hilton, who's there as well from Connecticut. Rich Hilton, of course, is from Camp Chic, where he mans the controls for Nile Rodgers' personal studio. Also goes and performs live regularly with the ultimate disco band, I think would be fair to say. How are you doing, Rich?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Excellent. Right, and I know where you are now. So there we go. Rich Hilton, Hiltonius.com. Good to have you. When was the last time you went to a NAMM show? Do you recall?
I must have been in a previous life.
Have you never been?
I've never been.
That is astonishing, actually. Wow. I wonder if you've missed anything. I suppose you'll be able to. Well, not anymore, because we just cover it all.
Well, I follow you.
Exactly.
I trail you.
Who
like
needs to fly 5,000 miles or 2,000 miles in your case to go and see that? Anyway, Rich, thank you very much for joining us as well. And we have another guest there. We got a full chat room here. A full panel here. We'll say hello to Mark Tinley there as well, because Mark is also on the show, and his Skype video is looking good. How you doing, Mark?
It is looking very nice, isn't it? Thank you very much for that webcam again.
Oh, yes.
What?
Sorry, carry on. Yeah, Mark Tinley, likebeing.com.
I'm doing very well. I've never been to NAMM either, I don't think. I don't recall ever having been anyway. So, but I think the only thing I've missed is Rich Hilton, because you cover it so well that I always follow it on your website. So.
Hooray! Well, I'm not going to blush. I mean, this is the pre-NAMM show. I should, of course, we do a damn fine job, and I'm very proud of it. Even if it is, I must admit though, this year I'm more stressed than ever before. I can't quite figure out what it is about it. It just feels like I'm much more anxious that it all goes. I think it's because we've got some great show sponsors, which is fantastic. Very much thanks to them. But it sort of feels like there's more at stake. And there's so many things that can completely stymie it, and I don't want any of them to happen, I suppose. But anyway, that goes without saying. But thank you very much, Mark. We'll also say hi to PJ Tracy, who's also with us. PJ Tracy from pjtracysound.com. How are you, PJ?
Great. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and to Steve and Kiwi Steve, good middle of the night.
Yes, Kiwi Steve. I am going to. In fact, I got an email from Kiwi Steve in the chat room saying I'm going to be at NAMM, so we're actually probably going to meet him in person. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be a good meetup. For those who are interested in such things, we usually meet at the Marriott Pool Bar Saturday night. That's our night when, if all's gone well, we allow ourselves several drinks and a bit of gay abandon, as it were. So I mean that in the innocent sense, not in the literal sense, of course. Anyway, PJ, thanks very much for joining us. I'm glad that you're with us. So I suppose we should probably get on. And have I said hello to everybody? Because this is the fullest panel we've had for ages. So there's obviously a lot of anticipation. Let's see. I mean, the first thing that I think I want to show, because this is actually fairly major, is this. Now, this looks like it's a Casio synthesizer. This was broken on Synthtopia, Casio XWP1 performance synthesizer, apparently lead and groove orientated synth. We don't know much about it, although I do know that they've got this website, which is the beginning of a new era, which is 7 days, 7 hours, 41 minutes, 59 seconds. But if you look there are two MS-20s on stage there. Not any obvious Casio keyboards, but it's a lovely photo. So the big news is, I mean, this is going to be their new. They're sort of re-entering the synthesizer market, which is the first time. I don't know. When was the last time they made a synthesizer? It must have been
1988.
1988, Mark. Jesus. I mean, I know you're really into the Casio stuff.
Well,
so
I used to run the Casio Pro Tech Users Club, so I had all of the Pro Tech range, or there was a Casio Pro Tech range. So that included the FZ1, the FZ10M, and the FZ20M, which were rack mounts, VZ1, VZ10, VZ8, which was a phase distortion synth, and then a range of MIDI guitars, some of which included synthesizers as well. And the synths were a bit noisy, but they made some really cool sounds. Really cool, actually.
Well, obviously, I mean, what's happening is everybody seems to be really excited about this. Well, it's interesting, actually. If you look at the comments on the Synthtopia site, is that it's sort of split. Lots of people going, they reckon people are speculating about $700, and not much stuff going on the front panel, so probably some kind of editor. And everybody's really hoping that we're going to have some phase distortion and maybe some of the old Casio synthesis, so that at least we get some of the legacy of the Casio stuff. Because I mean, Casio for a long time they've been making, and as far as I know, they still do make really good arranger keyboards. With quite sort of tweakable and that sort of thing. But they've been really off the radar, certainly but this for the first time they contacted me and said, "Do you want to come and visit the stand?" And I did contact their PR lady and say, "Look, it's leaked. Tell me, can you give me anything else to go on? Because I'm going to talk about it on our pre-show podcast." And she gave me a very legally tight statement.
They've actually been making pretty big waves with their lower end market stage pianos as of lately. I actually bought one of those for my niece so that she could start practicing piano. But I've noticed in a few corners people actually using them in professional contest. And they're very cheap, and they
do sound. In fact, I was in Bristol the other day watching pantomime, and I went shopping afterwards, and there was a guy playing a Casio keyboard piano stuff, and it sounded really, really nice. His fingers must have been cold.
Yeah, they actually do sound pretty good, especially for the money. They sound and feel pretty good for the money.
Yeah. Oh, they got weighted keys as well.
They do.
I imagine. The thing is with Casio, they are going to be the masters of getting it done for a budget, aren't they? Because they've been doing that for a long time, so they're probably going to have a lot more experience at getting putting the money where it needs to be and not where it doesn't need to be. I don't know. Anyone else got any Casio stuff? I'm thinking, I was going to get a CZ101 again, just because of that little tiny synth that had the phase distortion engine, because they do sound pretty nice, don't they? Rich, you're nodding there. Is there something that you might be interested in? Is there a Casio sound? I can't think of what it might be. It's been such a long time.
If there is, it's the sound of the CZ101 and its descendants, the 3000, the 5000, and those things, I think.
Right.
Because the VZ or VZ1 never really caught on very much anywhere enough to define it as a sound, and it all sounded kind of pseudo quasi-FM-y anyway. And the only... Pardon?
It wasn't phase distortion. Phase distortion was Casio's take on FM, from what I remember. It was kind of like a poor man's FM, wasn't it?
There was something. It was quite. It could be quite tinkly and bright, maybe.
Well, VZ was a whole different thing.
Okay.
Mark would know. VZ was different than anything else I'd ever seen.
The VZ was VZ was different to the CZ. The CZ tried to emulate digital DCOs and DCFs, that kind of thing, except it was slightly different to that. But the VZ was more towards FM. But it wasn't FM, it was something else.
But nonetheless, I'm excited by the prospect. I think it's going to be an interesting thing. And it would be great to have, somebody coming back into the market who's got such a legacy, at least any legacy of making synthesizers, re-entering this market and see if things might get a bit spiced up. It would be quite nice to see that, really. I'm hoping. and as we know, Casio are cheap. Cheap is a derogatory word in the States. It doesn't mean
inexpensive.
Inexpensive is what we mean, actually. I know, Dave Spears, are you thrilled at this prospect? Does it look interesting?
I did blow up that picture. I can see some organ drawbar type things.
Oh, man, yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah, maybe. It's interesting, actually, because John here, John, is... big fan of this phase distortion synthesis, and actually it was really good. Loads of really cool harmonic content, I remember. Very, and it was a kind of take on FM, but you basically used other waveforms to kind of bend the phase angle.
More
that was the whole kind of interesting, really interesting. I wish them well, actually.
PJ, Gaz, you got any Casio stuff in your arsenal, as it were?
I have had a CZ1. I can't remember which one it was now. It was CZ5000 maybe. But a friend of mine uses the FZ, and he absolutely swears by it, and he gets amazing sounds on it. And he's got it plugged into a Lexicon PCM 90, I think. And just the two of them together just sound amazing. So I think there still is a lot of mileage in that machine. My worry with this device is that it's somehow going to come out and it's going to be some sort of kind of like groove box in a keyboard type of thing and be a bit dated and be full of all kind of like ravey kind of stuff. That's my fear, I think. But I don't know. I mean, it's great that they're back, though. It's really great. So I don't want to put a downer on it.
Well, I seem to remember because a friend of mine had, you get all those. There were loads of different flavors of keyboards back in the days, and they always had one or two really great sounds that just sort of hit the mark. So I really hope that it's going to really take off and be a great synth. We'll just have another quick look at it there. That sort of lovely misty thing. But yes, you can see there's some drawbars there. Dave Robinson, have you got anything more to add, or should we move on to the next topic? Or have you frozen?
I don't know if that does say organ bar, actually. Does it not say orange bar on there?
Maybe it's a drinks dispenser.
Oh, yeah, briefly.
I don't know.
Oh,
it's a cross between a Casio and a Soda Stream.
Vimto.
And a mini bar.
Yeah, a mini bar.
I might be, fantastic. I might be wrong, but I think wasn't the FZ1 the first sort of commercially available sampler, high street sampling keyboard? I think it might be.
Could be
As
right,
used on Dub No Bass.
Really?
The FZ1 was the first. What did you say? The FZ1 first commercially
consumer sampling keyboard.
No, I don't think it was.
Oh, okay.
The Prophet came out before that, didn't it? Prophet 2002, wasn't it?
Mirage?
As a keyboard,
Mirage, yeah.
Mirage.
Mirage.
What about
So
like
Dave,
Mirage?
that would be a sort of
The FZ1 was supposed to be the first 16-bit one, but it was really only 13-bit.
Okay, well, I know it was the first or something. I think my other Casio fact was that it was used in Voodoo Ray, I think.
right.
But the sampling time, they'd run out. A guy called Gerald had run out of sampling time, and it was actually Voodoo Rave, and it got cut off, so it ended up as Voodoo Ray. I don't know where I read that. You can, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
That's great.
But actually, as an observation, what I wanted to say was, it's interesting that Casio didn't have an analog legacy, did they?
No,
So
not
everybody
really.
else, Roland, Yamaha, Korg, Emu, they had an analog legacy, whereas Casio, calculating else, they came in with digital, and their digital keyboards were of a time, the Poly 800s and all the sort of digital synths that were around, but they went nowhere. Had the phase distortion stuff was great, but it didn't take them anywhere. And I wonder, philosophically, did they not go anywhere? And they're having a here because they didn't have the know-how, they didn't have the legacy of being analog. Are you losing me?
No, I got that. Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, so
I don't know if that's entirely true, but go on.
I don't know. I'm just speculating. But
that's an interesting thought.
I mean, I've got a Casio analog keyboard in my basement, but I mean, it's not a synthesizer in that you can change any of the parameters of the synth itself, but the sounds are generated by an analog generator, tone generator.
Yeah,
so
I see.
it's got like 32 presets on it,
keyboard
and it's
at
got
home
an analog drum machine inside it as well.
Right.
So it's very analog sounding, but it's not.
Anyway,
synth.
I think it'll be interesting to see what it is, how it comes out, and what else there is there. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in with an ad from our sponsors here. And coming up after the ad, we'll talk about Teenage Engineering and possibly Moog and perhaps some other things too. Anyway, I want to say thank you very much to the show sponsors, Yamaha. They've been show sponsors for ages, and we very much appreciate their support. Never take any of this stuff for granted. It always helps us at least do the things that we do. And they want to tell you a little bit more about the Pocket Track recorders. What we have here, if you're watching the video, which I strongly recommend that you do, W24 C24 Pocket Tracks. They're 24-bit 96K, very, very small portable recorders with stereo mics. They've got ultra handy wireless remote control in the case of the W24, which is a brilliant feature if you're recording a gig and you want to, maybe you're on stage, you can't reach, it's just one of those very useful things. Like I say, 24 bits, 96 recording, superior battery life, up to 38 hours of PCM recording, 2 gigs built in, micro SD cards, XY configured stereo microphone, mic for superior recording, peak limiter, quick startup, ready to record in 4.5 seconds, which is actually quite a big deal because these things quite often takes such a long time that the moment's passed. So this is very useful. Onboard speaker for quick and convenient way to check recordings. Tuner and metronome, and also comes with Cubase AI5. So what we want to do is, if you're interested in checking out these Pocket Tracks, head over to YamahaDownload.com or YamahaSynth.com, where you'll find the location of, in the UK, the Pulse stores, which are Yamaha stores within stores in some of the major dealers, where you can go and try one out. Maybe head down with some memory, record onto it, take it home, have a listen on your own monitors and check out what you think. Also, if you're in the States, do the same thing. Go to one of the bigger dealers, try them out, record some stuff, and take it home and just give it a good close scrutiny. And we want to say thank you very much again for Yamaha's continued sponsorship of the show. It's very much appreciated. Right, what's next? I think I have another video. I may not. Oh, yes, I have. I think this is, not another video, a video. Here we go.
Hello. Hi.
This has absolutely nothing. This is just a fantastic machine. I don't know what it is, but I want one of those. Is that an injection? It's like a vacuum molding system. Looks absolutely brilliant. Anyway, like I said, that was a teaser video from Teenage Engineering, who, in fact, if I go to the web shot here, they're making this, which actually looks a bit like an airline food tray. In typical Teenage Engineering style, looks very nice. And we're sort of speculating as to what this teaser might be for, because it's clearly related to NAMM. See you at NAMM, see you at NAMM. Any ideas as to what you think this might be? What we might expect from them? What would you like it to be? Because bear in mind, they do have an interesting design. They're a slightly sort of eccentric way they look at things. Mark, you look like you might be about to speculate there, or I could be wrong.
I was just thinking the ABC reference could be a reference to the Jacksons. So it might have something to do with, like, the Jacksons. But
It might have a Jackson figurine set.
I couldn't quite then get to the next step of that. I just thought... it's very toy-like, isn't it, ABC as
two
well?
older
Like
ones at the top.
building blocks of something, so 3 building blocks that go to build something.
It's interesting, isn't it? An interesting idea, what it might be. I mean, I do know that it will
You could
probably...
get Michael Jackson in that tray, couldn't you? Oh.
You could now, yeah.
We could now, yeah, exactly. And then we call... No, I won't go there.
The thing is about Teenage Engineering, they do make sort of kind of wildly... It's going to be stylish and expensive, is basically... Anybody else got any ideas? Gaz?
Pass.
Pass. Okay. Dave Spears, what about you then? Come on, I'm determined to have someone have a go, because I've got an idea that came in from Tony, which I will share with you, which could be interesting, but I just thought I'd let you have a go at guessing at that. I don't know.
Well, it's ABC, isn't it? So if you go Alpha Bravo Charlie, and they are little compartments for somebody's Charlie, and that big long one is for the straw.
Straw. Okay.
Get the mirror.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the rock and roll equivalent of a sort of pill container. Yeah.
I was going to suggest we snorted Michael Jackson's ashes from
Okay,
it,
right.
I
I'm going to
thought
stop
that
you
was
there,
going too
because
far.
this is probably not going to do us any favours when it comes to our PG sticker. But let's assume it's none of those things, and I will.
Broken my NDA.
I think that what Tony suggested, Mac Doctor, who comes and switches occasionally, he thinks it could be some sort of Bluetooth connected modular effect and synth system. So you put little chunks into it. No,
I'm going with Dave's.
all right, brilliant. Well,
I was thinking that long thing down the middle is for carrot sticks and celery sticks. You've got 3 kinds of dip right above it.
right.
It's sort of like a
Crudities.
bento box concept, like the way you
It's a
can get a
bento
Japanese
box.
lunch in a bento box.
It's like a tailgate chip thing.
I'm guessing it's a musical instrument of some kind. Do I win the prize?
No,
This is Japanese.
hors d'oeuvre tray better. I think hors d'oeuvre tray is what it really
All right,
is.
okay.
Oh, I
There's a
got
bit of
it.
Japanese
That's,
there. There's a bit of Japanese.
got it.
Isn't that Japanese for lunch?
Dim sum.
I passed. I said pass because I thought someone might have something of any use to say. I mean,
Go on then, Gaz.
No.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because this is degenerating into something that is not going to be particularly useful from that point of view. But yeah, it could be any number of things. But we will look forward to seeing what it is. I couldn't get an appointment with him. I will swing by and check it out, and hopefully it will be something exciting and groovy, and presumably something that won't be made yet that requires some kind of making. But anyway. What can you say? Right, the next thing on the line is, well, this has already happened, really. So, but here it comes. I'll fast forward it so you actually see some stuff. Here we go. This is the Moog Minotaur. Yeah, so that's the Moog Minotaur, which is the little Moog, yet another small Moog that is. It looks like it's the brains of the Taurus, essentially. A couple of analog, 2 oscillators, 2 envelopes, a low pass filter, knob per function, USB, MIDI, and control voltage, which is kind of cool. That's a nice little addition. I know, Dave, you're our kind of resident synth fanatic. Is this something that thrills you? I don't know. Have you got any of the new Moog stuff, or is this? Yes.
Yes, it does thrill me. I haven't got any of the new Moog stuff. I was very tempted to go for a little fatty. And then I thought about Slim Fatty. And then when I saw this, I think this is bloody brilliant. It's really simple. It sounds monstrous. The Mini Moog, right? I rarely use the Mini Moog in anything other than a single oscillator because it's just so fat.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, and then it sounds like it's got a very similar balls to me. It works. It just works. And this is what I want. I like little boxes of knobs with in and out interfaces on that I can make really cool sounds with. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be that far away from what the Slim Fatty costs. So I mean, it's still got a hefty price tag, but I mean, it might well work in the context of what you're after.
Yeah. Yeah, the desktop thing, brilliant. Yeah, sounds great.
It might well do. I've just that sort of sound of misery for me was I just looked down and noticed the battery had run out on my recorder, so that means I've got to extract all the audio from my from the video recording, which is could be worse, couldn't it? Just not much worse. Right, so, Gaz, gonna get one.
Yeah. Do you know, I think this is exactly the right product that they should be making right now. I think it's kind of, it taps into their legacy, yet it's also, it's got like that USB connectivity and, which I think they started that with a little fatty, didn't they? But, I think they just seem to be really on the ball now, Moog, with obviously Animoog and stuff on the iPad was a major hit. And I'm not sure quite how well the Slim Fatty's done, but that looked really good. But this just looks exactly right. I think they've managed to tap right into sort of what people want from them. And, I noticed there was a comment about like dubstep in that last trailer there. But, I think they've got a great winner on their hands there, haven't they?
It'd be interesting to see if they do. Yeah, I mean, because they're covering both areas. Because they've also got that high expense API Lunchbox Moog ladder filter, which is more the high end of what they do, and also they're kind of more bespoke top end stuff. But I mean, it makes sense for them to make a Moog everybody can afford, because it's been a while since we've had one of those, right?
It's true, and also it's
still €700, $700.
Yeah, it is. It's not cheap. I mean, that's the thing, but it's just a bit cheaper than their most expensive thing.
It's the desktop format again, isn't it? We're seeing that time and time again now. The rack unit seems to be vastly disappearing, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you put two of them in a rack, maybe. Actually, what somebody said in the chat room. Shane King, and that's the same thing that I found actually with the Moog Slim Fatty, was there's no noise generator. So, that's quite a major omission, I think, on any monosynth, whatever it may be. So, and I don't think there's one on here. So that's something that's a bit of a shame, I think. I know, PJ, have you got any analog synth longings? Would this be something that might fulfill a hole in your setup, or are you, yeah?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the reasons being is that it does have that Moog ladder filter in it, and an external input for it.
Yeah.
So not only do you get a great, 2 oscillator monosynth, and that thing looks freaking cool. It just looks cool. Like, I think it looks better than it, and not that I would buy it based on that alone, of course, but it looks as cool as the Voyager does. I mean, on that level. As opposed to the Little Fatty and the Slim Fatty, which aren't quite as cool looking. But that thing is really neat. And the reason why I bring up the ladder filter is because I was actually looking at one of those API lunchbox ladder filters, because I thought, wow, what a great way to to spice up some in the box synthesizers by running them out to a nice Moog filter, and this would give you that for a little bit more of the price. You also get a monosynth with lots of nice knobs on it. So yes,
yeah, that's true.
Definitely interested.
The chat room is pointing out that you could, with the external input, you could always put it in via the external audio input if you needed noise, but just that's my bugbear about both the Slim Fatty and this, really, and that's the thing that I think is missing from any monosynth. I know, Rich, I noticed you were nodding. Would you? I mean, you've got a Mini, so have you kind of interested in any of the sort of new breed of Moog synthesizers?
Sure. And this thing looks like a gorgeous little product. I kind of share Dave's enthusiasm for it. I understand the point about the lack of noise. That's interesting, and the routing. Well, I hadn't realized that. It is $200 cheaper than a Slim Fatty, and it's a completely different kind of interface and design.
That's true. It's got a knob for everything, which is kind of quite a major difference, right?
But they're really both really cool and good sounding, from what I've heard, products. So, I'm quite impressed with what they're doing. Well, I think I actually like the name of this product. That's all I'm going to say.
Miniature is almost, isn't it?
Minotaur. In other words, it's Taurus. It's the little Taurus. Minotaur.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of sweet.
It's clever. It's actually clever. Whereas the whole fatty concept was not part of my lexicon.
And what was there was something else. There was something really quite obscene they released quite recently. What was that? I can't remember what it was called now.
Cluster Flux.
That's right. Yes. Thank you very much. I'm glad you said that right, because it came out very quickly without thinking there. So
I'm reading it. I'm reading it. I've got the website open with all their products on it. That's why I can do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you pulling that in. Anyway, it's going to be, well, it's released. I guess it'll be shipping quite soon, so we're going to go and see it at the show. Oh, Dave Robinson has a holding a finger up. He must have something to say. Speak, Dave.
Yeah, the Mooga Fuga, that's a bit saucy, isn't it? But no, I was going to say, I mean, it's got a great name. Using for live performance, well, I was just reading through the specs, but does the Fatty, does it have a third oscillator like the Mini Moog did? I mean, is that where they've cut the price, by taking off the third oscillator so you can get this kind of sub?
I think it only had two, from what I remember. I did review it, but I've forgotten. It's basic, but it had two. It had an arpeggiator, and it's a nice unit, and you can get a lot out of it. But you need, it's harder to I presumably this will be easier to program. And the cross mod was something that I don't know if it's got so much cross mod potential as perhaps the Slim Fatty, but we'll have to check.
But what I thought was kind of interesting in the way they put it on the way they announced it, they've got this demo of dubstep, which is great. But the quote is from Geddy Lee, which of course, the Rush Signals era,
well-known dubstep artist.
Big money and all that kind of stuff, which is the bit of 1982, 1983, was it subdivisions, is the only period of Rush that I really like because of the big Oberheim synth there, and he was using the Taurus pedals and the big Oberheim synths. But it's interesting that they would choose to plug something that with a dubstep which needs to appeal to somebody, to the kids and the live performers, but they use a quote from Geddy Lee. That seems a bit misplaced. I mean, they mentioned Derek May and they mentioned Flying Lotus, whatever, but the quotes from Geddy Lee, I just think that's rather funny.
It's an intergenerational, multi-dimensional PR exercise. So let's just leave it.
Who knows who Geddy Lee is anymore? Is that Thin?
Well, I didn't know who he was.
The Pavement song, isn't he?
Yes.
I like it too.
Good, Mark. You're a fan. Are you going to get one? You're going to get your. We'll get one in for review.
Said everything needed to be said about it. Actually, I find it very hard to find any fault with it. I think it looks fabulous, and it does everything that I would want something to do. Whether or not I buy one or not, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a fair comment. So let's get on. Moving on. There's some other news. Mackie say they have a groundbreaking new product to launch. They've been talking about that for several months now behind the scenes, so I don't know what that's going to be. But again, what seems to be happening actually this year, and I think we're going to see more of it as companies move away from the sort of bunfest that is the show, is they're releasing prior to the show. So they get a buzz, then they get loads of people going to the stand. It's actually quite a good strategy, I think, and because otherwise it doesn't get lost in the general noise. So we have video 3, which I believe will now
play music.
I nearly got you there, Rich. You were doing some great moves. Great moves. That is the news of the Akai MPC Renaissance, which is one of 3, in fact, if you wish to... let me see, I think have we got that here somewhere? I think that's here. If you want to wait, I could probably shoot to that. What does it say? There's a new video for something called the MPC Studio and the MPC Fly. 7 hours, 13 minutes, folks, to wait, and 175 hours for the music production controller. So, but anyway, this is the new MPC Renaissance, which essentially has all of the MPC stuff plus built-in 4-channel USB 2 audio interface and 2-port hub built in. Loads of pad banks, SP diff. I mean, it looks like it's a sort of super MPC. Is it a bit late though, considering that Machine is sort of running away with the whole kind of new beats thing? Because this does sound a little bit like. I must admit, the trailer was great, but it did remind me of DJ Shadow from 1990. So, PJ, I heard you say yes then. Are you kind of... Is that what you're...
Yeah, I mean, what that trailer says to me, and I don't mean to be harsh, is if you too want your track to sound like an early 1990s cheap Groovebox demo, then buy one of these.
Oh, eyes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's wonderful for a standalone device. But I mean, anybody that wants to produce in this vein should really take a serious look at Machine, because that is...
Oh, well, you've just got one, haven't you?
That's just... Yeah, and it's a paradigm killer in terms of all of that. I mean, it's so deep and it's so forward thinking, and there's so many different ways to interface it into your workflow that I don't think there's anything else out there right now that even comes close to touching it. And unless this box does something, on that level and greater, then for the price point, Machine's where it's at.
But it does have the audio interface aspect, though, doesn't it? The Akai does. So I mean, it is a
presumably you already own an audio interface, though. I mean, unless you're just getting in from the ground up. I suppose, Gaz. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
yeah, well, that's a fair point. I mean, do you think that because you've just got Machine, haven't you? So yeah. I think last time we spoke, you hadn't had a chance to take it out and unbox it and all that sort of stuff. So you now feel very strongly about it now that you've had time to use it, right?
Yeah. I think we may have actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but
okay.
Just briefly. So I have Machine, and I also own Complete 8,
right.
and I had owned previously several Native Instrument products. The way that those two, the Complete 8 product and Machine integrate together alone are unbelievable. I mean, I didn't get excited about it when I read it, and it said that you could open up Complete 8's browsing system inside a machine, and it integrated perfectly with the browser until I started using it.
Right.
And it's just freedom.
I suppose the thing is, actually, thinking about it, PJ, I mean, the thing is about the MPC way of working is Machine has taken it and run with it and taken it steps further and integrated the new technology, whereas this old school MPC stuff maybe, is for people who just are in love with the whole MPC thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit harsh.
Well, here in a nutshell, with Machine, if you already have a way of working with a DAW on any level and any other device that you have, with Machine you can easily integrate Machine into that workflow, or you can take many aspects of that workflow and take it inside of Machine's production environment because of the ability to open up third-party VST instrument and effects inside of Machine. So if you prefer working with Machine as a nested instrument, you can do that plus nest other instruments inside of it, or you can use it as a standalone production environment, on the go, on a laptop, or however you want to do that, and open up elements of your already existing workflow inside of it. So it's just very open-ended, very fluid, and really, really well designed.
Well, Akai Pete in the chat room says it runs as a plugin in your DAW, runs with the DAW itself, because there was some interesting software integration sort of hinted at there. We'll know a bit more about it. Rich, you sounded like you wanted to chip in there about the whole kind of MPC thing. Am I right? Because you're on.
Well, yes. Do I think that this is a day late? Yes. Is it necessarily $1 short? No. I think that MPC has a very, very strong branding in certain markets.
Right.
And for them to be doing this on some level is a very smart thing to do business-wise, because there is a segment of the users of these drum machine looking devices that don't want to be interfacing with a computer all the time.
Sure.
And so I think that there is a very decent perceivable market for this, and I'm very interested to see how it does.
Okay, well that's cool enough. We've sort of seen the whole MPC proliferation for a while now. So I mean, it's quite interesting that there's a whole new breed of them. I mean, they do. I suppose this is about the right time for a new one to come out, because we haven't seen one for a little while. I'm trying to remember when it was. I'm not an MPC user, so I can't get your evangelical about it. It's just not the way I work. So I don't know that I've got much to add in terms of that. But I think you're right. There is something to be said for a computerless workflow, even though this does also integrate by the looks of things into that. If that's what you want. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Go, Mark.
I was going to say it's sort of like an instrument or a working practice in its own right. So it has its own sort of set of people that use it. So in the same way that we sort of see new guitars coming out all the time, and you think, well, why would anybody ever release a new guitar? That's just dumb. I think it's just releasing like a new instrument into a genre of instruments. It's like it's a style of instrument in its own right almost now, isn't it? And it kind of was the first one and is sort of, the leader of that kind of style of or way of doing things. I mean, PJ might have a point about Machine, and that might at some point, come along and kick its ass, so to speak. But I think it's still valid to release these as new to market, and it looks cool.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right about the brand. Anytime that anything MPC comes along, I mean, there's a lot of interest. A lot of people are very interested in this stuff. We always get a lot of hits news-wise and what have you. So there is a certain aspect to that. But anyway. Unless anyone else has anything they particularly want to add, we could move on to yet another topic this was also quite interesting. I think this might give us a little bit more pause for thought, and this is the copper. Sorry, Dave.
Nick, I need to go because I'm visiting. For reasons I've mentioned earlier, I need to disappear. But,
sorry about that, Dave.
No, it's fine. But I just wanted to mention, this is a bit sort of high end for this discussion, but on a more sort of pro level, Alan Heath are producing a new sort of cut down digital version of their GL series mixers, which have been around for the GL.
They're the ones with the massive luscious screens, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but there was sort of the more cut down versions. Anyway, they've got something called the GLD, which is effectively GL Digital, which is being launched at the show. And it's a big deal for Alan Heath, and it's a sort of $7,000 digital mixer to take on things like the Soundcraft Compact, SI Compact, and this, the digital mixers are becoming high-end, pro digital mixers becoming smaller and smaller, more and more affordable to the sort of the semi-pros and the smaller PA companies and the people who want to have a digital mixer in their setup because they're playing live and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I'm going to be looking out for particularly.
Yeah, and I'll check that out.
I will see you. I'll be in touch about the show, and hopefully I'll see you at NAMM, or might even see you at the plane, or if not, I'll see you by the pool.
Yes. Cheers, Dave. Nice for you to join us. Thank you very much.
See you later.
Okay.
Bye, Dave.
Right. So, yes, I'll play this clip now, and hopefully that will... Right, well, that was a clip of the Elysium MS812, which is we've shown things like this before. I mean, it's a similar concept to the Expert Sleepers idea, which takes audio signals or signals and turns them into MIDI for controlling modular stuff. But this is a bit different because it's got Copperland control. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers Copperland, but Copperland is like a kind of it's like a protocol over Ethernet for transporting MIDI and audio and other stuff, and it's discrete in the fact that every Copperland device has its own chip, so it's self-aware. You plug it in, it says "I'm here," and it makes itself available to all the other devices on the Copperland network, and it's actually quite smart. And this is the first, as far as I know, one of the first pieces of hardware that's come out with it integrated, and it seems like quite an interesting idea. The MS812 has 8 analog and 12 digital outputs. The analog ones can be used for continually variable control voltages. The digital ones would be things like binary, gate, trigger, clock, those kind of things. But it's an interesting idea, and I wonder whether or not this means that Copperland we might start seeing it as a potential new kind of musical instrument digital interface, for hooking all of this stuff together, because it can hold a lot of information on a gigabit Ethernet stuff. I know, Dave Spears, you're looking a little bit sceptical at those words. Does that mean that I shouldn't bother going along and talking to them, or do you think it could be interesting?
No, it's certainly worth talking to them. I do know. I wasn't looking sceptical at all. I was just trying to think of a conversation I've had certainly with a couple of the Own Force guys about this whole Copperland technology, because I know that they were doing something, and maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I have now. But yeah, no, it all looked good, and we did look at this a while ago here, and it did all look good. And then with that clip, it kind of reaffirmed it for me. But unfortunately, at the moment, I haven't got the sort of headspace to sort of dive into it.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's the actual Copperland stuff is free to download. You just license the chips and put them in. It's kind of a bit like the idea of the ADAT chip I/O concept. You put it in a piece of hardware and it gives you an Ethernet port that allows you to use it as a protocol. But I think it could be absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's also they've got like an 8IO MIDI interface, which has just got an Ethernet cable. So I think that's actually 100 base. It's not even gigabit. So yeah, it might actually be fine for that. I don't know, Gaz. It strikes me that you might have an idea that this, because less wires, good thing, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, do we know if Copperland is is it an open protocol?
Yes, you can put audio, it's not even a transport, it's essentially the pipe, the wrapper that all of these protocols can work down. So it doesn't really matter what the protocol is, it just allows all these devices to talk to each other sort of seamlessly, so they become self-aware. And if you unplug one and put it somewhere else, it says, "I'm here again." That's as far as I understand. I did an interview and a Meta probably 2-3 years ago with Eric Luchak. I forget his full name, and it was very interesting to see it in work. But it was all very kind of prototypey, and this obviously means now it's cool, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, anything that's sort of an update to the kind of rather aging ADAT ports is good. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm so full of cold at the moment. I was just
looking at that and thinking, I might have to cancel our shoot tomorrow because I can't risk getting a cold before now.
Yeah, so that's all I can think about right now.
All right. Well, let's maybe. I mean, I know, Rich. I mean, you know, all of it. I mean, or PJ even. I mean, because you're just wiring up a studio now, aren't you? I mean, isn't this sort of thing going to be ideal? I mean, have you looked into the idea of using kind of stuff like CobraNet or any of the things which are transport over Ether cable rather than multicore, or is it just not feasible for you?
Yeah, not currently. I mean, one thing I did look at briefly was the Focusrite Red series, the new kind of RedNet series, because we have a couple of rooms and we were trying to figure out how to interface them, and we decided to go with Madi as the protocol to do that. But I think this looks really interesting, and I remember distinctly the interview that you did a couple of years ago, and I've thought about this on and off and think it's a brilliant idea, and really don't understand why everybody doesn't just jump on sticking these things on their devices like ADAT IO, so that we can start utilizing them, so that, you know, the software engineers can start utilizing them for sending protocols back and forth. Because having a self-aware device, having any device just being a self-aware node on a network is I think just a fantastic idea.
It is. I mean, looking at this, Drip Feed in the chat room says the Elysium Copperland MIDI interfaces have less than 10 microseconds MIDI jitter, which is pretty rock solid when it comes to timing. That's quite an impressive statistic there, because we're all used to the sort of sluggishness of MIDI in certain aspects. Anyway, I know, Rich, would you consider putting something like this? I mean, I'm guessing also the idea that you can control audio interfaces and have audio and route it between all these various devices as well. If it was enough to be latency free, I don't know what the latency is likely to be when you're moving audio about over this same network. That's the thing.
Well, I don't either, but until it becomes a standard that everybody's willing to embrace, I don't think I'm going to start adopting,
sure,
these sorts of things. But it does look very interesting to me, and I spent some time reading up on it today. So will it catch on? I have no idea, but it looks very cool. And the guy's product, I mean, the specific product that we looked at related to this thing was a little bit in need of some. He was a really nice man and everything, but it needed a little more work done to it on the interfacing level, human interfacing level.
Oh, what, in the software, the Copperland?
No, the guy with the synthesizer interface. Did we talk about him?
No.
That connected via Ethernet that he used as a demo in the video for the Copperland situation.
Ah, right. No, what, the one that we just
Schneider's guy.
The Schneider's guy.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I think he
Okay.
was. Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. I'd like to look at that. I mean, I'm going to download it when I haven't got so much on my plate and just play around with it, because I think you can download it without having any Copperland stuff, and then you can see how it all goes together. Because I'm guessing there'll be a sort of a software component to any of this, which if you plug a CV interface, then you're going to need things like, I want this controller to equal a CV output on this. You're going to need to be able to hook all of that stuff together. That's kind of going to be quite critical. And I agree. I'd like to know what that looks like and how it is and where it gets stored. All of those things are kind of things that need to be answered. And I'm going to try and get hold of some of this gear and run it through its paces and see how it works. But I like the idea of it. Anybody else? Mark, you haven't really got any modular synth stuff, I suppose. So, I mean, maybe it's not...
No, I haven't. I like the idea of the Copperland thing, though. I mean, I wish somebody would just make something that connects things together, and the idea of it being self-aware, so you can just plug stuff in and it knows what's been plugged in and where, is brilliant. So, I wish somebody would develop something that just basically supersedes MIDI, because that
was the thing I was going to say. I mean, we just need. It's about time we had a new transport. I mean, this is because we're moving. I can say it now. We're moving offices fairly soon. When we get back from NAMM, we're going to be moving to a big place where I'm going to have to get audio distributed about all over the place and stage boxing. I do not want to be putting analog multi-core cable in.
No.
But I don't know what I could do. I don't
so
know. What,
easy to wire a building up with Cat 5, isn't it?
I don't know what
So-
and I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I've got this Yamaha desk here that will take various different kinds of Ethernet cards, CobraNet, and those various. I don't know what all the formats are, but to get like an 8-input stage box, they're like $1,000 each or something. I mean, it's really expensive. So I need something that is going to bring it into an affordable zone for me, because that's where it's going to mean it's going to take off. But I guess at the moment it's specialised, so it's still going to be expensive. But Roland do a Cat 5 system, yeah. Wildman says in the chat room, that's very true. But it's a it works with their own system, and I'd have to get a new desk, and it would cost me thousands, even if I did get a discount. But thanks for the suggestion there. But yeah, we need it, don't we? We need some kind of protocol that we can just kind of go, yeah, let's plug all this in. I mean, because soldering's a real pain.
Yeah. This. I mean, if it works as advertised and manufacturers started implementing it, and in a perfect world, it all worked the way it's supposed to, this would solve so many issues. It would be a fantastic thing to have in a studio. And if it were widely available right now, I know for sure we'd be adopting something like this. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But
we all want it, but it seems. I mean, it's happening in installation and in the live. It's just not transferred to studio. I'm thinking maybe it's because it's more of a real time thing. I mean, live is real time, obviously, but generally you can do all of this stuff because front of house can be slightly delayed by the time it gets a signal. If it's a big enough venue, it's not going to make that much. 10 milliseconds ain't going to make that much difference. But in a studio, you can't really do that.
They've already got a physical delay between the stage and where they are if it's a big enough venue anyway. They could have up to a second of delay if it was a huge venue.
Yeah.
Maybe more, actually.
Yeah.
So it's irrelevant, isn't it?
Well, it is there, but I'm hoping it's going to come together, because I really would like to see it and adopt. I'm ready for it. I want something. If I could have at the moment, I'm going to have to use optical, I think, because that's the easiest way. I can just get a few of those Behringer ADA 8000s, and which is what I use at the moment, and just have those about the place. So I've got 2 8-channel IO stage boxes, and just get some cards for the DM1000. That would make sense. That would give me 16 IO that I can have in 2 different places. But even that, running a really long run of optical is getting it's a bit hairy. Like I'm talking 30 meters or so around the outside.
Yeah, that is a long way.
I don't know whether it's possible to do. Does anyone know what a decent length of ADAT optical? What's the kind of reasonable length you could do, or if there's a cheap or a affordable way to repeat it so that it becomes longer runs? I'm not sure there is. I'm just getting a lot of
I don't know.
Z Systems has a box, Nick, that you might want to look at. It's one of those ADAT router and switcher boxes, and I'm not certain whether or not it will reliably extend an ADAT run, but it's definitely used to route and switch optical signals. So I mean, that's what it does effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't need that many, but I mean, it could make sense to do it. I mean, we'll have to see. But thanks for the tip.
Yep.
Excuse me, Nick. Yes. I have to go.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Rich,
something has come up.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Rich. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you out the other side. Take care.
Thanks very much, fellas.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye, Rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually run out of topics. Apart from there was something else that I wanted to talk to you about, because I got an email from Dave Chick, who was an entrant to the Sonic Talk theme tune. His was I think it was the one that was sounded like Zappa. It was really complicated and had lots of brilliant varying pieces across the 20 seconds. He actually runs a website and a podcast called Inside Home Recording, which is Inside Home Recording. It's a great podcast, actually. It's been going for a very long time. It used to be run by Derek, and I'm trying to remember who the name of the other guy was. I think I met Derek. Sadly passed away a few years last year. But Dave is now the host, and he's running a theme tune competition there too. So they're going to change their theme tune. So if you are interested, you have to head over to insidehomerecording.com/theme-contest. I'm sure there'll be links for the main page, but he asked me if I could plug it, and they've already started getting some in. I think it runs until and they're heading for the 100th episode. I think they do theirs every couple of weeks, though. So they've been going a long time. Let me see. February the 9th.
Do what? Oh, sorry.
February the 9th is the time. And there is no... it's not a time limit or anything. It's going to be like a music bed and an intro. So if anyone's interested in doing that, head over there. And
yeah, it says, I'm just looking at it, and it says a full-length song of 3 to 4 minutes would be ideal, but I can work with something shorter. I don't think I can write a full-length song anymore.
Yeah, I've got loads and loads of 4-bar patterns that I use for demoing gear. I suppose I could arrange them. But yes, anyway, so do check it out, InsideHomeRecording.com. And we thank Dave. Dave's a listener, and I was checking out his podcast as well. So if that's the sort of thing that excites you, I know that people were very interested. We got a lot of positive response from the competition, and as we know, that the theme tune that we're currently running is the competition winner. So I think we're getting to the end of the show time, and we've lost a couple of people already through natural wastage. So just want to say that, oh yes, actually the one thing I was going to do, I'll play us out with that because we've got a new set of intro and outro credits for NAMM. So NAMM coverage will start, we might even get some stories on the Wednesday because we're going out on the Tuesday. There's a press preview day. We're going to go and check out a few things. I'm hopefully going to get a shot at the Q Neo on the first at the preview day, and also we should be able to check out I think it's the Nectar Reason controller will be there as well on preview day. So we might have a couple of kind of exclusives that come out on Wednesday. And I know that Hans from Musitalk is going to be using our videos to do his roundup podcast, which he's going to be doing through the show. He's not going there in person. So sonicstate.com/news. All the NAMM stuff will just start pouring out. You know how we do it. Lots and lots of videos, lots and lots of content. So please do come on over. So I'm going to say goodbye to our guests. First of all, I'll say to Dave Spears, G4 Software, I'm actually beginning to be a little bit envious at the fact that you're not going, because I really like the idea of just saying I'm going and then flying somewhere else and sitting by a pool for a week, because I really could fancy a holiday, actually. So that would be kind of... But I don't think I'd ever get away with it.
We nearly did that one year. We got on the bus at LAX to go to the car hire place, and Chris sort of pulled out $2,000 and just looked at me and went, should we go to Vegas? And there was this moment. It's like
I've never been to Vegas, but I would like to go. I definitely would like to go. That would be kind of that'd be great fun. But anyway, thanks, Dave. G4software.com. Keep an eye on what they're up to. Lots of good stuff coming, no doubt. And we'll also say thank you to PJ Tracy, PJTracySound.com. Thank you for joining us too, PJ. It's been a pleasure as ever. Thanks for your input.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. And I just wanted to mention that anybody that is looking for a good pair at any price of near-field or mid-field monitors, please check out the SE Electronics Monroe Egg 150 monitoring system.
Them. Good.
I did. They are wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to. We talked about ribbon mics last week, and I thought it was excellent. I mean, I've got the Voodoo VR1 mics, and I tried them out, and they do sound absolutely lovely. I can't wait until we get the opportunity to put them in front of a few things and check them out. So, yeah. Anyway. But thanks for that, PJ. Thank you very much. And we'll also say goodbye to Mr. Gaz Williams from songsurgeon.co.uk, who seems to have come down with an appalling cold during the process of this show. So we hope you feel better soon, Gaz. Green is the colour behind you, and I suspect it's the colour inside you at the same time as well.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't been much cop today. It's just it's just happened this morning, really, a cold. Out of nowhere. So hopefully it'll pass by tomorrow.
Yes, I'll have a chat with you. I'll have a chat with you about that afterwards. It's because obviously
take some echinacea.
Echinacea, that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, songsurgeon.co.uk. Thank you very much, Gaz, and also Mark Tinley there, likebeing.com. Thank you for joining us too. Hopefully you'll enjoy our NAMM output, which will, like I say, will be coming.
Yeah, I will.
Spewing out shortly.
I have been to Vegas.
Have you?
You really should go. You really should go.
I do
it's
want
so
to
mental.
Go. I do want to go.
It's mental.
Drip Feed in the chat room says more modular stuff from NAMM. Yes, we do. We usually have a big one. I think we're going to go and see Analog Haven, and it takes us ages because there's so many people there. So we should have a bunch of that there as well. And we got a bit of off-road time as well built into the diary, so that should be fine. In fact, I can show you a bit of the diary. It's bonkers. There's
you can fly to Vegas pretty damn quick from LA. Actually, it's like getting the bus from Bath to London.
Yeah, I know you can, but it's not that. It's the fact that I'm away from the family for a week, and then, I'm just going to go to Vegas. Doesn't usually cut it.
Oh, I see. You should invite her out there and get them out there.
She doesn't fly.
I'm sure we had this exact same conversation last year.
You know what we have, yeah, and I'm not going this year either, but maybe next year, eh?
No.
We'll see how it goes. I think that is everybody. Have I said goodbye to you, Pete? I have. So that's it. And I'm going to play us out with our new opening and closing NAMM credits. So let me just hit the button. And that's Sonic Talk number 251. Thank you very much indeed. Somebody has been getting to grips with After Effects during the Christmas break.
I like that. Very impressive.
That's
actually.
awesome.